Rob, before you say anything, I just want to thank you because when I started lifting weights in the summer of 2017, which seems like yesterday, there weren't really people in my immediate life who I could turn to, but I would watch your videos after coming home from a lift and it would keep me motivated on the path of where I wanted to go. So from that, I just have taken lifting and it's become a part of me, a part of my identity. And you were at the genesis of that. So before we really get going, I wanted to thank you, man, for all you've impacted my life and I'm sure thousands of others.
Bro, you've absolutely made my day with that. Like, you can go back to my first ever Q&A video. I think it was 2014. Jesus Christ, I'm getting old. But it was back then. And someone goes, what's your goal? Like, what's the end goal? And it just goes, nothing flash, just to get as many people into the gym, lifting weights, working out as possible. So for me to hear that, that's literally the nicest thing someone could say to me. So thank you very much. I really appreciate that, more than I can really put into words.
My pleasure, man. And, at one point in your life, you wanted to be a nightclub owner. So
Yeah.
when did the transition to wanting to get people in the gym and wanting to get people into fitness, when did that begin for you?
Yeah, so it's so funny when we're like, just growing up around the ages of like 18, 19, 20, you're trying out so many different things. And I was like, at the time, I was like, oh, I like going out. I like drinking. Maybe I should be a nightclub owner. And what's so crazy now is, so I'm living in Marbella now, which is a beautiful part of Spain. I used to work here in a nightclub, like, handing out flyers, trying to get people to buy a table and everything. Hey, you coming in for a couple of shots? And now I'm here, obviously, just just obsessed with the gym and running fitness businesses, the opposite of a nightclub, staying out late, drinking. So it's so interesting how when you're young, you think you're just obsessed with something and you want to do that. And then things just change over time. So, I recommend people try out as many different things as possible and just see what sticks and see what you really do love. But, I do still love going out and everything, of course, having a good time. Fitness should improve your life, not take away from it. But at the end of the day, the gym is where my heart is.
Was there a moment where you were like, oh, I actually want to be in the gym forever. I actually want to give this feeling to other people?
Yeah, absolutely. And so I think more than anything, I truly do believe this, that your health and your fitness is number one thing in the world. There's no point being the richest guy in the graveyard. If someone offered me 10 million, I'm not even joking, 15 million euros, and they go, you can never go to the gym again, but you take that, I would say, shove that 15 million up your arse right now. If you think I'm not going to do bicep curls week on week, get the hell out of here. I'm not even joking. And so it's just, I think it's the most valuable thing. And that's why I want to get more people, working out and just feeling amazing.
I want to get to your Genesis story and who you were as a young lad, because at 16 years old, you told your parents you were going camping for the weekend and you actually go to Amsterdam. What was that story like? And take us back.
Oh, bro. So that you're actually going to get this is the first time I've mentioned that. I'm going to give you a little deep dive into that. So I was just always class clown, complete messer, wild young lad. And so I went there, told my parents I was going camping in the Dublin forest for the weekend, okay? And me and a few other fellas in the neighborhood, we went to Amsterdam, which is just €20 flight from Dublin, okay? We stayed in I think it was the red light district for 2 nights. Then we stayed in a little bit outside, which was, there was a forest there, so it's technically a white lie, it's kind of camping. And it was so funny. I remember that was actually one of the first times I did shrooms as well. And I was just had the best time ever, a great trip. I was obviously smoking weed on that trip as well. I'm not into that now. I'm actually, makes me lazy. I definitely don't hate on people for doing it. I'm pro weed, but not for me. But it was so funny, right? After that trip, I came home and my mom was like, well, Robert, how was camping? And I was just dazed out of my mind. I was like, what the hell are you talking about? But so that was me as a young lad, just complete messer, same in school, love sports and not great at the academics. and just love having fun. And I'm still kind of like that to this day as well. But yeah, no, I love the way I kind of played my childhood and my early 20s. You know, I had fun, experienced life to the fullest, and now I've gotten that all out of my system. Well, not all, but you know, and now I'm just, you know, mad into fitness and working on my businesses and living a good life.
I love how you said played your early childhood and 20s, because it gives me the idea and impression that life is a video game. And it's something I've been thinking about. Is that also something that is on your mind?
Completely. We're living in a simulation. It's like a big game of Grand Theft Auto. Like that's exactly it. Like you even got like the health bar. You got like, you know, in GTA, you got your bank account up in the corner, and you're just like navigating through life. So it is just one big video game. And yeah, you know, so on that played with your 20s thing, I'm really like, I think when you're younger, it's great to have fun and also work hard as well and set yourself up for, you know, your late 20s, 30s, whatever it may be. So, you know, I had fun in school and everything. And then up until I was about 22. And then 22 is when I dropped out of college. I was always in fitness, but this one I became obsessed with fitness, started a YouTube channel. And that was the genesis of where you see me today. So 22 was such a pivotal age for me. And it was really just the year that everything changed for me. So yeah, up until 22, and I'm glad I got serious at that point, because now my life is sick, and you know, I'm happy where I'm at. But yeah, that was really the beginning for me.
So take us to 22. What is your mindset? What is going through your head? What convinces you, okay, I need to drop out here?
Yeah, so I'm studying business in Dublin Institute of Technology, and which is a solid course. It's a decent college and all that, but my heart wasn't in it. I was going in and I'm like, I'm here sitting in hours of lectures, listening to someone who's never started a business in their life. I was like, I'm all for college. If you want to be a doctor, clearly you got to go to med school. Obviously, you want to be an accountant, whatever it is. But with this course, like with business or even like any business course, I'm like, you will learn infinite. This is from personal experience as well, infinitely more from just going out and doing it yourself. And so I dropped out of business college after 2 years. I was doing terrible as well. I had no interest. And in the first 6 months of starting, you know, an online coaching business, selling ebooks online, I can't even tell you how much more I learned. It was absolutely shocking. I was like, oh, taxes, is it? Yeah, I'm like, all right. Guess I'm doing well if you got to pay taxes now. But it's crazy. So that was when it really grew me up as well. I was living in this, how do you describe it? It was like a hostel. Like it was like a B&B sort of thing. So I was living with like a bunch of other random people, and it was really hard to, what was me? It was really hard to record YouTube videos when, you know, someone would just walk in and be like, hey, you using the kitchen? You know, halfway through. And so I was like, okay, I really my next goal is to make enough money to be able to move out on my own. So I was also working like a 9 to 5 alongside this as well. And so there's a lot going on. I was like, whoa, I'm dropping out of college. I'm working 9 to 5. I'm trying to get this YouTube channel fitness business going. I'm trying to stay in good shape. I was actually prepping for a show. I was like, this is like crazy, but I loved it. And that period of my life taught me so much.
So it sounds like you had your hands in so many different pieces from an earlier age too. I mean, today you've got so much going on. You've got FuelCakes, you got the YouTube channel, you got the creator agency, you got Ghost, Alphalete. Like the things you do don't stop, but it's really interesting to hear you talk about you at 22 the same way. YouTube channel, side business, doing this, doing that. And it's like, that's always in you. Where does that come from?
Yeah, so when I was in school as well, the teachers told me I did like one of these aptitude tests or something. They're like, oh, you got like OCD, ADHD, as you can probably tell. And so I'm like, I always wanted like just be living life to the fullest, you know? And if I'm not, this is a kind of a bad thing as well. If I don't feel I'm doing enough, I beat myself up a little bit. I'm a little bit hard on myself. And in today's hustle culture, and you know, we're all addicted to productivity, that could be a bad thing, but it's just how I literally am since 12, since I was diagnosed with this. And so, I think it's a good thing. Like, I don't even notice it as a bad thing. To be honest, I think of it as like a superpower because, it makes me like attention to detail and everything. Yeah, but that's where it comes from anyways. OCD, ADHD, all that good stuff.
Okay, so a lot of people get OCD, ADHD, and then they get overwhelmed by the fact that this label is now on them. How did you take that and was like, oh, this is a positive?
Couldn't care less. I actually thought it was funny. Like there'd literally be like a cat on the window in the classroom, and I'm like, oh my God, it's a cat. So I just thought it was hilarious, to be honest. And then later in life, I found it's really helpful to me. So like, Linda, my girlfriend, when we first moved in together, she like walked into my apartment. She was like, you're literally like Patrick Bateman. She's like, this is the most organized thing, like every shoe lined up perfectly. She was like, this is the most organized apartment I've ever been in. I was like, I'm going to slice you up into pieces now, just like the movie. But I was like, no, this is really good. This is like, my car, super clean, apartment, office space. And I think that's like a huge benefit in life. So obviously some people can have like extreme OCD and ADHD to the point where it really negatively affects them, but I've just got it slight. And so it just makes me really organized. And so I like it. I look at it as a superpower.
Are there any other negatives in your quote unquote negatives in your life that you look at as positives? Because it's amazing how you've turned OCD, ADHD into a superpower, which I believe it is. Are there any other things that in your life you're looking at and other people would look at as maybe a negative, but you own and it's a positive for you?
Oh, well, like, there's just so many. You can really choose anything. Like, for example, I'm not the biggest, leanest, most athletic guy in the fitness industry, but I'm like, that's me, like, I'm like, my physique is different to people. My, strength levels are different people. And then other people can relate to that, like, the way you look at things is like, you're uniquely you, and that's really a superpower in itself. So that's how I look at everything, really.
That's fascinating. And it's so true. One thing I want to talk to you about was you being nervous to start your Facebook page, because it's so funny to me that this outgoing ball of energy, Rob Lipsett, was at one point worried about posting his first Facebook statuses on your page.
Yeah.
Take us back to that moment and what that exactly was like.
Yeah. So the first time you do something like anything, even the first time I did like public speaking, always just so scared about it. And first YouTube video, first Facebook post, everything. You're always just like, everyone's going to hate me. The world's going to explode. My life is over when I do this. But that's when you have to do it. That's when when you feel really scared about something, when you need to grow. And that's the space you need to be in. So you need to dive head first to that. And you need to just get it over and done with. The people that shy away from scary experiences are the people that will just never grow throughout their whole life. Everyone knows that. So it was so funny. Like, Dublin is a really small bubble. It's the smallest place in the world. Everyone knows everyone. Like, even the country of Ireland, like, there's a funny meme there going around. It's like when two Irish people meet each other, if they don't find a mutual friend in the first 30 seconds of speaking, they both die. It's so funny. So everyone, I was like, oh, when I put up like, make a fitness page about myself, start giving fitness tips, everyone's going to be like, who the hell does this guy think he is? Like, oh, I think you're the big man, do you? Billy Biceps over here. And so I was like, oh, everyone's going to talk negatively about me. Everyone's going to gossip about me. But then and again, another rule of life is you can't care what people think. So I put up like a long status introducing myself, say what this page will be about. This was before YouTube or even Instagram. This is when Facebook was kind of at its peak. And then I just started giving fitness tips on Facebook, like writing articles as posts. And I was just so afraid to do that. Then after the first few goes, it's nothing. And it was the same for YouTube. My first video, I was like, oh my God, my voice on camera sounds ridiculous. Oh God, do I really look like that? I'm like, Is one pec bigger than the other? Oh God, I gotta go train chest again, you know? And then it's like my first public speaking gig. I'm like, oh God, are these people bored here? You know, do they even want to listen to me? You will always have self-doubt when you start something new, okay? We're our own worst enemies. We just got to go head first into it, get it over with, and then get comfortable with it.
You mentioned how Ireland is such a small place, and I'm curious if there were any comments that stuck to your head negatively from people through the grapevine that you heard throughout that process of just like, and did you use that as fuel if you got them?
Yeah, absolutely. So I remember because like after a while when my fitness business was like doing better than my 9 to 5. So, you know, I quit. It was safe to leave. And there was a lot of people like, oh, he'll be fucking, just you fucking watch this now. He'll be back to work in 3 months time now. And there was another people that when I was like, they said something to me and it was like, yeah, it was something along the lines of that as well. And I know the person as well. And they're still stuck in the exact same dead end job that they were at the time. And I'm like, the people talking shit aren't happy. Like they're not. Like imagine you have the sickest life ever. Are you gonna like take time out of your day to like talk shit on someone on the come up? No, you're not. No, you're not. Like Ronaldo is not bitching about me.
That's how you'll know you've made it.
He's doing it. If Ronaldo starts being like, hey, fucking Rob Lipsett, then I know I've made it. But like seriously, like anyone who's just killing their field and enjoying life isn't taking time out of their amazing life to talk shit. So yeah, you know, that was a comment that I'll always remember.
Yeah. And it reminds me also of Conor McGregor, the way you talk about how Ireland's such a small place and the come up journey throughout it all. Have you used Conor McGregor as inspiration, as someone who's made it bigger than the small town of Dublin and beyond and went beyond there?
Absolutely. So like, you know, I've met Conor, you know, we've loads of mutual friends. Beyond like, he is just a world star now at this stage, like household name, iconic. And even when I see on social media, all the accounts that would be talking shit about him, they're mainly Irish accounts. Like wow. You've your biggest supporters from your country as well, but you've also your biggest detractors too. And I saw a really good quote. I don't know I think I saw it on Twitter, but it goes, the people that will talk down on you the most are people from around your area and around your neighborhood, because they know that could have been them. They could have been great too. Isn't wow. that just absolutely savage? Like people across the world aren't like, they don't care. You know, they're like really supportive. But when people are from like your hometown, they're like, oh shit, I could have done that, you know? So it really gets to them. So that was a very interesting quote I saw. But yeah, Conor, he's an absolute superstar. Again, gets a lot of hate, but also gets a lot of love. You know, he's loved all over the world.
Yeah, one thing I see similar in Conor McGregor and you is how your mind has been the tool you've used to transform yourself and to build yourself up. What do you know about the mind that most people don't?
So visualization is a very real thing. And so I've actually got a little, let's see, right here. You know, I got like this planner, see 2021, right? I keep that on me at all times. I mean, I swear to God, it's like seeing a ghost. I'll write something down on a date into the future, and that's etched into the back of my mind now. And I swear to God, it's like seeing a ghost. It'll subconsciously happen. It's just so crazy. And when you replay something over and over again in your mind, it's more likely to happen. And this isn't some like the secret magic of the universe bullshit. This is just simple. You know, you think about something constantly, it's more likely to happen, obviously. But that also works both ways. So if you're always thinking of the worst outcome and, you know, just criticizing yourself completely, well, then that's going to lead to a bad outcome. So you need to be very careful and mindful and selective with your thoughts, because your thoughts and your mind, they lead you to what you'll do. So they're extremely important. And it's really important to kind of to step back and think, what are my thoughts right today? What am I thinking of? Where am I placing my energy? So it's very powerful. And so many people don't even like think about that. Like so many people just drone through their day, you know, they just hover around and they're not actually thinking they're not actually thinking, full stop. They're not actually thinking how powerful their thoughts are. So yeah, I've really seen the power of the mind, and it's crazy, especially visualization, just replaying a scenario that you want to have happen in your head. Like, I'll never forget with the creator agency, I picture a full room, and I picture like Christian and Max on the stage, and we're all laughing, we're having a really good conversation, the crowd's clapping, and it's just super cool. And you dream about that and you replay it, and then it happens. So if you're like a football player or anything, you're a boxer, you picture that knockout over and over again in your head, and it's a really good thing to be able to do. Like, it's a good practice.
What do you do when the visualizations don't go exactly how it works in your head? For example, I know you had a show in March of, you were preparing for a show in March of 2020, and that gets cut out, but you've probably visualized being on that stage so many times. Yeah. What do you do in that type of situation?
Well, then some visualize something else. but it's like, let's say I was visualizing like myself losing, or the show, getting canceled or whatever. Well, that's definitely not going to go well. So it's like, a positive thought is never a thought wasted. It's like, what's your other option? Don't think about it. Think negatively about it. There's really nothing to lose.
Yeah. And so let's say the show's canceled now and it's completely out of your control, that you can't win a show that's not going on. What's your first reaction when that happens?
So you're always just going to kind of make the best out of any situation, whatever it is. So it's like, I don't even want to say plan B, but it's like, just stick to plan A, but change it up a little bit. Like, I have a tattoo on my ankle that says I'll either find a way or make one. So it's like, you just move on to the next goal, whatever it is, and you never worry about stuff that's outside of your control.
I love it, man. You said something really interesting, which I took note of, and it was in one of your old Q&As where you said, some people cringe at their old videos, but I absolutely love them. And this struck me because I was like, wow, that's exactly what I'm doing with this podcast. I want to put out my flaws. I want the world to see my mistakes. Where does that mentality come from, of you wanting to just have your old videos out there, even though they might not be your best work today?
Yeah. So I just think it's such a good way to look back on where you came from. And it's actually kind of heartwarming. Like, it's like, I look back at me like at the very beginning with my iPhone cell taped to the wall, and I'm like, that's adorable. I'm like, this guy has no idea what's ahead of him. So I just think it's a really cool thing to look back on. And, if I was the exact same, then there'd be a problem. So, I think, and that's why I'm so, I love like this podcast you're doing. I love when people start a YouTube channel, and I'm like, even if like it doesn't get 1 million views, or like you don't become the best podcaster in the world, I think it's an amazing way to journal and diary and something, and to log your life. And I'm telling you, I wouldn't exactly be a regret. I use this word sparingly, but one thing I do kind of regret is I always wish I'd recorded more. Like, like to record more periods of my life. Like, me and Joey D, we were staying in on this night in Australia, and we just started like, we're traveling around Australia. We just started watching our like really old Ibiza vlogs, and we were crying laughing. I'm like, I can't believe I have these like 30-minute videos of like me and you going to Ibiza. I'm like, that is the coolest thing ever. And another thing I try to say with people who are like, oh, should I start YouTube? I'm like, think about it like this, okay? Remember back in like the 80s and 90s, our parents and stuff would record everything on like a VHS camera. There's no internet for people to see it. Like, they just watch themselves. I'm like, that's what videos should be like. Just make it because you want to make it, and because it's cool to look back on. So yeah, I love looking back at the old videos. Is that as motivating?
It's crazy because Jordan Peterson said something one time that really stuck with me, which was like, in the 1400s, anyone could write, and because of the Gutenberg press. But today, anyone could take pictures and record videos. And that is the first time that has been as accessible to the entire world. And if you think about 2010 or 2015 being the first time that anyone could take videos or pictures accessible anywhere, that's mind-blowing. because you get a whole new set of information.
Oh, bro, don't get me started. It's honestly, it's like if you got some of the stuff nowadays and like some of the technology we have, some of the cameras or anything, and you put it back like hundreds of years ago, people would be like, that is an alien. Everyone would be like, that is like, you know, that's some black magic. They're like, this is just absolutely crazy. So just, we're living in the best time ever to be alive. And we all got to take advantage of that. Like, it's so crazy when you think deeply on it. And it's like, I think it was Gary Vee who said, social media nowadays is like buying property in Manhattan in the 1800s. It's just free real estate. It's crazy. You know, like you can have a business and you don't have to pay for ads, and you can talk about your business for as long as you want. You can post as many times, and you can actually directly reach out to people to like who are interested in it. It's honestly, it's so insane.
And I think the reason why people don't do that is because of insecurity. So what would you say to someone who's insecure about starting a YouTube channel, starting a podcast, starting a blog, starting a Facebook page? What would you say to that Rob Lipsett who in 2014 was wondering if he should put his Facebook online? Like, what would you say to that person?
I would say your life is going to be a lot more fun once you stop caring about judgment, you ditch the insecurity, and you put yourself out there. Your life will just, your quality of life will increase tenfold. You will have just so much fun, and you'll feel so much more fulfilled when you stop caring about the opinion of strangers or caring about the opinion of people you don't even like. Like, why do you care what like John or Mary says down the road? Like, you don't even like John and Mary. Fuck John and Mary. So it's like, it's so strange. It's like you've one shot at this, and not even that. It's like you'll never even be this young again as you are right now. You know, time is limited, and we're all worrying about what people we don't even like think. It's crazy. So that's what I would say. And once you ponder deeply on that, and you really kind of think about how crazy it is, then hopefully it goes through your head, you know, and you stop really caring about the opinions of others and the opinions of people you don't even like. And you start putting yourself first and doing the things you love to do. Your life will just be just so much crack, so much fun, and it'd be very fulfilling. Crack is not your crack, by the way. We are CRAIC, okay? I mean, it means fun in Irish, right? Not CRACK. Even though, you know, a bit of crack, you know, that could be fun from time to time.
Wild boy, Rob Lipsett.
Yeah, I might do some crack now. Just mention it.
So, you know, I was listening to Casey Neistat yesterday talk about his streak of like 800 plus days filming himself, which is absolutely wild, right? Like, but, you know, one thing that he talked about was how it drained on him mentally. And we're talking about all this amazing stuff about vlogging your life and documenting it, but there's also a mental side of it that you have to deal with. How have you thought about it and navigated that darker side of documenting your life?
Absolutely. So one thing we can fall into trap off on social media is, especially if it's like it's your job, you think like, if I'm not uploading constantly, you know, every second day or whatever, oh, they're all going to forget me. Oh, I'm gonna be forgotten. Which, you know, you got, obviously consistency is great, but it's like, it's all right. You know, it's like you could leave for 2 years, and if your content's good enough, you can come back and just be like you never left, you know, and you can just be a sicko again at it. So it's like we worry a little bit too much, and it's like sometimes you end up just forcing a content that, you know, you not actually care about and you don't like. So there's a fine balance there, is, you know, obviously being consistent and putting out good, solid work, but also enjoying life as well, and not taking it too seriously. Because it's like, the reason you're doing this is, let's be real, because you don't want to work a 9 to 5, 7 days a week. You want to live life on your own terms. You want to, you know, pretty much start your own business. That's what YouTube is. And so, you know, don't let it rule your life. You know, don't let it control you. You control it. So it is a tough one. And I also saw a really good point by Chris Williamson. He's somebody you should get on podcast. I was on his podcast in Dubai. He's a legend. And you're very lucky with this, with the podcast format. This is why I want to start doing podcasts. Is it's easy because you can like for example, we arranged this, so we both got to show up. It's accountability, and now we've each other to bounce off. So that's easy. And sometimes when you're like a vlogger like Casey or even myself, or you're just doing a sit down video, it's tough to go off a blank canvas. It's tough to just start, especially if you don't have like, when I'm with like Mike and Louie and all, it's much easier to vlog because we're all helping each other out. But when you're on your own, maybe in an empty office, it's hard to get going. So you're very lucky that, you're in this format where you get to get someone else's energy for the day when you're doing that. But yeah, I completely understand what Casey's saying. And, again, he was on his own a lot as well. And Candace, of course. But, it's tough when you're just creating content on your own.
Yeah. And Chris Williamson, absolute legend, episode 96. Everyone should check out because that dude brings some wisdom. But, you obviously spent some time watching Casey and because familiar with Candace, but who else do you look for inspiration at all when you're thinking about vlogging or putting yourself out there?
Yeah, absolutely. So Casey I think he was like the first vlogger I ever watched. Same with a lot of people, I would say that. And then I also look to like my peers in the fitness industry, like, Joe Delaney, Mike, Christian Guzman, Max Tuning, Matt Does Fitness, like just whoever, and, when you see your friends doing well and you're like, oh yeah, I want to do that too. I want to keep up the gang. So that's good. And that's the importance of having good connections and good circle of friends around you as well. Then even better when you go like, obviously it's tough to meet up with people with the pandemic, but the pandemic's pretty much over now, and then when you go meet up with them, it's even easier. So I look up to my friends really. And then there's a lot of people like OGs, like Gary Vaynerchuk, Valuetainment, been watching a little bit of him. Jordan Peterson, changed my life without a doubt. Casey Neistat, all the usual suspects. Joe Rogan, of course. I'm like saying the basic bitch of podcasters right now. All the standard names.
One day the basic bitch of podcasts will be Rob Lipsett and Danny Miranda.
I hope so. Yeah.
So you mentioned Jordan Peterson. Why did Jordan Peterson play such a critical role in your life?
It's so funny, like, because he just says a lot of common sense, but he says it so well, and you kind of like forget about it. Like he just skips it. That's why when people say he's controversial, I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? He's literally telling you to clean your room. I'm like, what is controversial about that? But I just think he's a wordsmith. He's just so good at speaking, and he really just breaks things down and just says them so beautifully. And I just listened to him speak for hours. And there's like a stage in my life, I think I was like living on my own, like single, and I've just listened to like loads of his stuff, like constantly around the house. When I'm like working, I just have him in the background. And just really rubbed off on me. And it's just like, it's nice to listen to. And it's even like, I'll listen to some of the lectures I already listened to. And it's kind of nice, positive reinforcement. And that's something I also recommend people do so my YouTube has gotten really good at suggesting just good talks and good podcasts to listen to. So I'll just let it run. And I'll throughout the whole day. Like, like some people play music in their house, like as they're like doing the dishes and stuff. I'm playing motivating podcasts, So it's like, you've just always got this positive reinforcement, like throughout your day. So that's one thing I started doing like years ago. And it's great because it's hard to stay positive all the time yourself. So having these people listening to these positive words and information is just great reinforcement.
Yeah, Jordan Peterson can literally be your best friend. Joe Rogan can literally be your best friend. They don't have to know it, but you can listen to them nonstop.
Definitely. But when are you getting on the Joe Rogan podcast?
Exactly. Just a matter of time, my friend.
That's it.
So, with all this talk about having these people in your head constantly, when do you find time for solitude? When do you find time to disconnect? Because you're constantly plugged in with YouTube, Instagram, and consuming content. Do you ever find a moment to quiet the mind or still it?
My mind is like, Rob, please give us a break. But it's so funny you mentioned that. I think around this time last year, I got properly into meditation. Like always tried it, and I'd do it for like a day or two. But I started consistently doing it. I used with the app I use Calm, and it's really good. I just do 15 minutes a day, and it's brilliant. Sometimes I fall asleep, but sometimes I'm just like, you just shut off completely, and then the session ends, and you just feel like you detangled your brain. So meditation, I'm sure you're well aware of that. A lot of people you have on are probably big into it. And also I listened to, it was a Matthew Walker on sleep, and I started improving my sleep hygiene, started prioritizing my sleep a little bit too. And that is just the biggest factor ever. Like, all my friends were going out this weekend, and so you're actually getting very fresh. Me, I stayed in all weekend, just slept. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm ready to kill Monday. Like, sleep is just a superpower. So they're the two things I do to mainly unwind. Is I've started just really prioritizing my sleep, and practicing good sleep hygiene, and also some meditation I do in the evenings. Also the gym as well. Like, that's just like the best. Like, that's like my favorite part of the day. And that's just a time where I can just really feel in the zone and not think about anything else apart from what's going on inside those four walls.
So take me through what it feels like to go from watching these motivational videos to actually seeing yourself in one in Dubai, I believe it was.
Yeah. Oh my God. So I still feel the same as a person as I do like when I just started on YouTube. Like, I still find the same things funny. I still feel like it's always the beginning. I still feel like I'm yet to even get started. So I still feel the same. So when I even see the video of myself when I walk into a gym, or when someone asks for a photo, which happens loads out here in Marbella in the gyms, I can't believe it. I honestly feel like I'm in a movie, or I feel like it's surreal, and it hasn't got old. I'm not sick of it. And honestly, I just can't believe it. I'm still like, what the hell? And like, even Linda, like when we're walking along and, someone comes up asking for photos, she's like, that's so amazing. She's like, you're Superman. I'm like, I know, right, babe? but it's just the nicest thing in the world, really. And that's how I feel. And so I always love when people come up for a chat. And when I just see those things, like, a motivational bit of me in the gym, I'm just like, teenage lifter Rob is just absolutely, he's dancing right now. Like, it's so crazy. So it hasn't got old, and it's a surreal feeling.
Yeah, it's like you should try to make two people proud, right? Your 10-year-old self and your 80-year-old self. Yeah. And you're clearly making your 10-year-old self proud there.
Yeah. My 80-year-old self's probably like, hey, looking pretty jacked, Rob. I used to look like that.
So how do you're obviously a humble guy, but how do you stay grounded when you have so many people coming up to you? You have so much attention, even though you're just saying, oh, it's the beginning. You're getting a lot of love from the people, clearly. So how do you stay humble throughout it all?
Yeah. So again, when you kind of look at things on a bigger picture, I'm like, I've so much more left to do. So I'm big into goal settings, as you probably imagine, carrying my planner around. But so I'm big into goal settings, and I'm always happy with the short-term, medium-term goals that I've accomplished. But I look at the long-term goals, so I'm like, oh man, I'm not even 30 yet. Like, I'm literally just getting started. Like, I feel like there's so much energy as well. Like, I feel like I'm bigger, faster, stronger than I've ever been. I feel like I'm getting younger, And so I look at the long-term goals. They're huge. And I think I've so far to go. And that really makes you humble, and makes you just realize that, all right, you don't get too cocky now, because, you've got a lot of work to do until FuelCakes is written on the side of a private jet.
Is that a long-term goal for you?
Sure. Why the hell not? But realistically, that would be cool. But I do want it to get in like all the main supermarkets, and just to be like a household name. And so the business that's another thing. The business is only 6 months old. I'm like, 6 months. What the hell? And like, we're already talking to, like, let's just say Whole Foods, for example, is one of the people we're talking to. So that, like, and some other ones in Ireland that I can't name, but like, it's going so well, and we haven't even properly cracked retail, wholesale, which is what a product like that, kind of similar to Sarah strips, you know, it's like a food product, that's where the money is. So there's just so much work to do, and I can't wait. Like it's just so, how fortunate am I to be able to call that work, you know? So yeah, there's a long way to go.
So break down what FuelCakes is for those who are unfamiliar, and also why you decided to create something like this.
So first of all, it's the best protein pancake mix in the world. I kid you not. When I tried the sample that, you know, we ended up going for, I was like, there's no protein in this. Y'all forgot the freaking protein. This is literally just normal pancake mix. Send it back. And then they're like, no. They gave me the macros. They're like, no, there's this much protein in it. You know, we're using whey, And I'm like, what? I actually finally made a protein pancake that doesn't taste like a hockey puck and literally is like solid. So the product's just amazing. And I think that's down to the quality of ingredients that we use. It's just, and the ratios and everything, it's perfect. And people are all like that. They're like, I can't believe there's protein in this. So the product is awesome. And basically where it came from is my first ever viral video on YouTube was a protein pancake recipe. So I remember one day, like I was just starting out, and when a video goes viral, it just shoots up overnight, and you wake up and like there's all these new people on your channel, and like YouTube have just recommended to everyone, and you're just like, you feel like you won the lotto. Like you're just like, you're so happy. You're like, oh my God. So I was like the protein pancake guy now, and you know, my audience were always like, I'd make protein pancakes and waffles like in pretty much every full day of eating. And so I knew my audience loved them. So I'm like, okay, I need to, when there's an inconvenience in your life, you need to just solve that. And, you know, there's your business idea. So I'm always like making a complete mess of the kitchen, doing, you know, 5 different ingredients, all that. You know, the consistency would turn out different every time because, you know, you're just turning into a bowl and stuff. And then it takes longer as well. So I'm like, why don't I just make like a really cool, like retro looking brand? I call it FuelCakes. So I actually wrote down like 50 names on a board. Linda actually came up with FuelCakes. Keep that to ourselves though. You know, she wants shares in it or something. And so we thought of that, and then it ended up coming to life. But that's where it came from, was a viral YouTube video, and just from always making protein pancakes, and just from having an audience that was asking for it. And so that's it. And with the packaging as well, I got the inspiration for that behind 1950s cereal boxes. So if you Google 1950s cereal boxes, you just see the coolest artwork. I was like, I can make this like so typically gym, like FuelCakes, protein. I'm like, of course Rob does that, you know, or I can make it like cool, something for the whole family that's, you know, still got killer macros, still will, you know, perfect fuel for training and everything, perfect for recovery, but I can make it like something that looks slick on a shelf too. So that's where we went.
Yeah, it's really well done. And it's been cool to watch that from afar, your whole process of building that up. And I can't wait to see where the journey goes.
Yeah, it's early days. So, you know, keep an eye on it.
Absolutely. So one thing I noticed from just talking to you for 45 minutes and following you for years is the charisma. The charisma is real, man. You have such charisma to you, such energy. And I'm curious how you've developed that over the years.
So I first of all, I literally thought we were talking for 10 minutes. Honestly, right? I've been watching the clock. But so I actually used to be quite negative at one stage in my life. And especially like around school, when I was like doing so bad in academics, I was just getting constant fail. And I was like, oh man, I'm an idiot. You know? And so I was always quite hard on myself, and I'd be a little bit negative. And then one day I kind of switched my mindset, and I was like, I bet your life would be a lot more fun if I was like, instead of any time I'd say I'm an idiot or I'm not going to go anywhere, I just say the opposite. I'm fucking sick and the world is mine. You know, I'm like, what am I going to have more fun doing? Yeah, the latter. So I just completely switched on my mindset. I started visualizing like we spoke about, and just doing like ultra positivity. And I was like, my life is just so much more fun. There's so much more happening for me. People are attracted to that. If you're complaining all the time, I'm like, life is miserable enough as it is. Do you think people want to surround themselves with a bunch of complainers? Like, they're like, oh God, I have so much problems. And then this Rob guy is just complaining about all his problems. Like, people have enough problems as there is. Like, they don't give a shit about, like, you know, your complaints. So it attracts really good people into your life. And it affects other people well too. Like, you know, if you go to an expo, or even we're having a chat here, and you leave the person feeling, you know, again, charismatic, to feel energized, want to kill their day, well, then that's a great thing. And you're going to have this butterfly effect on the world. So I just completely switched up my mindset. Used to be really negative and hard on myself. Still can be hard on myself at times, of course, like we all can. But choosing the latter, you know, being positive, life's a lot more fun. Just try. Anyone listen, just try it out. Just try for a day.
What's the first step for someone listening right now who's in a negative headspace? What do you recommend them do right now?
Take note of your self-talk, okay? Like, actually write down, like, anytime you say, like, oh, I can't do that, like, just take note of that, and you'll be like, oh, why did I say that? You're like, why the fuck did I just say that, you know? Or oh no, that's not going to work out. You're like, imagine you just said, like, oh yeah, that'll definitely work out. It's probably pretty easy to do. Like, you know, you'll just completely change your life with the way you talk to yourself. And as Jordan Peterson says, you know, talk to yourself like you're someone that you care about and someone that you love. So that's the first thing I would do. I would say, be very mindful and take note of how you speak to yourself.
Yeah, that's great advice. Journaling or recording yourself into your phone, you'll really hear what that inner monologue is saying. And if your inner monologue isn't your biggest fan, you've got some work to do, because seriously, no one else is going to root for you.
Yeah, exactly. And so, yeah, you choose whatever medium you like. Personally, I love writing things down, or, you know, handwriting. Maybe I'm old. I'm like, your kids probably have an app for that now or something. But whatever works for you. You know, some people love notes on their iPhone, like you said, recording it. But yeah, definitely just journaling it. It's kind of like it's writing and journaling is like arranging your thoughts. You know, just putting your thoughts out on paper and sorting them out. So it's a really, really good thing to do.
Speaking of writing, you've mentioned before that you'd like to write a book that's not necessarily mainstream friendly, with curse words, highs and lows, talking about relationships. What's one thing you'd put in your non-mainstream friendly book that you could share here that you would put in there?
Maybe the old mushroom trip in Amsterdam. That could be a good way to start the book. Yeah, that could be a great forward. You know? But yeah, there'd definitely be some more profanities in there. And it was funny because Penguin, my publishers, well, I wrote a book first, a fitness book, and, you know, whoever proofread it, like, I think she was like, you know, in her late 40s, 50s, not a bodybuilder anyways. She was like, I don't understand a single thing this book says. Rewrite the whole thing. I was like, okay, sick. So I had to make it that, you know, something people could just walk in off the street and buy, and just super easy to understand. And if you do understand a topic really well, you're able to explain it in simple terms. That's actually how you know if someone really knows what they're talking about. They explain it simply. And I was absolutely fine with doing that, because, like, the people that wanted more detailed stuff, they've already, like, bought my ebooks, or, you know, downloaded my app, or watched my YouTube videos. So I wanted to reach a completely new audience, because, again, it goes back to the first thing I said on this podcast. I want to get as many people working out into the gym and feeling great as possible. So I was like, by writing this more simplistic, you know, physical book, I'm going to reach a completely different audience. So yeah, that was cool. But yeah, with the new book, oh God, maybe I'll just, like, publish it myself.
But you've cultivated this brand of, like, being a good guy, being a clean guy in a lot of respects, and being able to be appealing to everyone. So one thing that gets on my mind that is cancel culture and the idea of taking people down. And you even mentioned something about, you know, I'm moving to Marbella and I'm moving before the COVID police come after me. Yeah, so how do you think about how cancel culture has affected not only you, but also your brand and your videos?
Yeah, absolutely. So that's something I absolutely hate. Like, For me, imagine I'm taking the time out of the day to cancel someone. Like, these people are bored. They're bored out of their mind, and they're sitting on Twitter. And I'm like, you could do anything with your life, but you're there like spending it, joining groups, trying to take down like a certain individual. I just think it's a complete waste of life. It is absolutely insane behavior, especially like, oh, he's not wearing a mask, on the plane, or, in public. Crazy stuff, man. This year, the last 2 years, I've just seen, it's like a big social experiment. I can't believe some of the stuff that you read online. But yeah, cancel culture, it's a toxic thing, because not even the people that they're trying to cancel, trying to ruin someone's life, they ruin their own lives, because they could be doing anything, but they're just focusing on this really negative thing. So I hate cancel culture, and I think it's ridiculous. And also, I'm like, you said that, I'm a clean guy and all that. I am. I did make a pre-workout, a whiskey sour pre-workout. Like, I don't think anyone's ever made a whiskey pre-workout. I do have a yearly Ibiza series, where if you look in between the lines, there's a lot of shit to pick up in those series. Like, I actually watched back some of the videos, and I was just like, oh my God, how the fuck did I upload this? And again, I'm like, some of my most viewed videos, I'm eating 20,000 calories, like, of pizza and ice cream. I'm like, well, this isn't very fitness of you, is it, Rob? So I'm like, I'm actually not your typical fitness guy, when you break it down. And again, like, I showed partying and going out and everything on my YouTube channel. But that's good, because so many people are in the fitness industry, especially, they can be so fake, and they try to like portray perfect lives, and like as if they're on their diet 24/7 perfectly, which is actually a bad thing in itself. It's called orthorexia. And they're not living a life, and that's nothing I aspire to, or it's nothing I want people to aspire to. So not that clean, but just the right amount of filth.
I love it, man. And so one thing that happens is I've heard, or at least in the past year, you've said you went into a negative headspace. And I wonder if it's because of cancel culture. Doesn't really matter what it's from, but I'm curious how you bounce back from that after, when that negativity came into your mind, because I remember some posts you were putting up about, I've been in a negative headspace.
Yeah, of course. So, even if you're like, the world's most positive guy, like I'm sure even Gary Vee or whatever has these days, weeks, or months where you're just in a funk, and you're not feeling yourself, and you try to get out of it, but then you're like, these negative thoughts creep in, and you got to understand that sometimes that's okay, and it's pretty much inevitable. Like, your life is not going to be smooth sailing 24/7, 365 for the rest of your life. Like, what I love this one. The worst things in your life hasn't even happened to you yet. Whoa. That's one to think of. But also, the best things in your life hasn't happened to you yet. So look, You're going to go through times when you're not feeling yourself. It's okay. Try sort it out and get to the root of the problem as quick as you can, and put it to bed. Get back, to your good old self. But look, it's just part of life. And so that thing that your worst days ahead of you. You can either look at that as a way to be tough and level up, or you can look at it as a scary thing, or both. So it's part of life. It's normal.
The way I think about it is like, pain is something that's going to happen to all of us. So why not train? Why not meditate? Why not do things today to make you a stronger individual? Why don't you put some pain in your life in a small way, so that when a bigger pain hits, you'll be better equipped to handle it?
Exactly. Push the boat out a little bit, just bit by bit, and that'll toughen you up. Yeah, I love that.
Yeah. One thing I wanted to talk to you about was artificial intelligence, consciousness, space, things you're very passionate about. Why are you so invested in these areas of life?
So I'm actually so glad you asked this. This is so interesting. So people are like, he definitely just watches videos about protein synthesis all day. And I'm like, no, okay? I'm like, yes and no. But so your mind should be worked out just like your body as well. So I think exploring these deep topics is a really good mind exercise for you to do. And they're just so interesting. And I remember, I think it was like last year, I came back from Ibiza and I was absolutely wrecked for a whole week. And I just like watched these videos just spaced out in my apartment. I was like, this is so sick. I'm like, I never want to leave my apartment again. But I just think it's a really, all these topics are so interesting and to look at, and they just expand your mind. And I think they kind of make you, kind of what's the word I want to use? Think a bit more deeply and a bit more open-minded as well. And I think when looking at a subject, always look at both sides, even if it's a side you don't agree with. And that's especially in fitness and nutrition. Like, you know, people that are keto zealots or, you know, even like vegan, you know, they're just obsessed with veganism. You know, maybe look at their point and see where they're coming from and see if there's anything that you can learn there. Because we're often just so close-minded in our own lane that, you know, we don't learn anything new. So I think exploring these new topics is just something that is great for personal development. I see it's interesting stuff. Like, you know, Lex Friedman is one of my favorite podcasts. You know, Joe Rogan obviously has a lot of people on, like Graham Hancock talking about ancient civilization. Like, it's just so interesting. I think it's a lot of fun.
So are aliens out there? Are they here? What's your take?
Oh my God, love it. Yeah, okay. I'm a big believer, okay? The US just released that report like 2 days ago or something, and they like couldn't explain any of it. I'm like, there's definitely something going on. Like, the world is so big. What are the odds that there isn't something out there and something way more evolved than us, you know? And even listening to some like eyewitness people, David Fravor, you know, it's just very interesting stuff. And I think like in the next decade, we're really going to find out more about that as well. But isn't that like the most interesting thing in the world? Someone from another planet? Like, isn't that just not just literally the most mind-bending thing ever? So I think it's a super interesting topic. I even love alien movies. But yeah, I love it. And I actually even think that that's us in the future. You know, like there's so many possibilities. And apparently they only show up around like nuclear test sites and army ships. And I've even heard some people say they're trying to protect us from ourselves. So interesting.
I heard last night about a case in Zimbabwe that there was a whole school of kids who, you heard about that one too?
Yeah, Jeremy Corbell. Yeah. His documentary, it talks about that. Yeah.
Yeah, I got to check that one out because I saw it on Rogan and I was like, oh my God, that is mind blowing. And apparently the kids got this message in their head that technology is out to get us, or that technology
we'll
could
ruin
kill
ourselves with technology. Yeah, yeah.
Yes, exactly.
Yes, and this is so funny. I've never even mentioned this online because for all I know I'm lying, but I was at this house party in LA. You can believe me or not. And there was one of the youngest astronauts to ever go into space, okay? I Googled him on the spot, and me and him were having a drink, and I just go, you know, this guy was legit. Like, he was actually had been into outer space. He works at NASA, okay? Not going to say his name, right? I was like, bro, tell me this, right? What's the locker room talk in NASA? Are aliens real? Are aliens real? Come on, talk to me. He goes, yeah, me and the boys, we believe. He goes,
wow.
He goes, yeah, and I wasn't lying. I swear to God. Like, you probably think I'm think I'm lying here. It was in, where was it? It was in Santa Monica at a house party. I was with Emily Hayden. She actually brought me there. And I swear to God, this guy was one of the youngest astronauts in space. And he told me that. Could have been completely taking a piss out of the Irish guy at the party. But I think he was telling the truth. So yeah, it's such a super interesting thing. Like, it's crazy. And I think like even the US like reporting on stuff like in the last couple of days, I think it's going to become more kind of commonly spoke about. And, you know, there's just so many possibilities, even if it's from another planet, from another country. It's like advanced technology, super cool stuff.
I think that our generation is much more open to the idea than our parents or our grandparents' generation, because of all the information we've had access to and all the voices we've heard. Do you also view that as the case?
Bro, we're trading dog coin internet money. Like, we're literally trading like shit coin and piss coin and like poo coin online. People are becoming millionaires out of it. The world is the strangest thing ever. It is a simulation. Like it just is too wild not to be. Like if the aliens showed up tomorrow, I'd be like, not even surprised. What's up, guys?
What's been the most surprising thing to you in the past year that you've discovered or learned about?
So really seeing just how the world has fast forwarded in just the last year. Like that's one positive thing to look at out of 2020. Like, so in a few years ago, like, so a game plan, my app, for example, FuelCakes, the pancakes, you'd have to be in an office and you'd all be together and like, you know, hey, this work for marketing. Hey, the shipment's coming in, we're getting new stock, there's a new flavor. It's just all online now. That's why I'm out here in Marbella. Like I thought I'd have to come back sooner, but like I don't. Like things are just working fine. Like if they're doing podcasts, this is just completely normal. I got my little ring light here, the mic. So do you. I see that the face is lit up well. You're looking angelic. But it's just like I'm shocked at how fast forward the world has become and how things have just all become online. And it's kind of cool. Like it just doesn't matter where you are. Like pick somewhere you like with fast Wi-Fi and you're good to go. You can build an empire from your phone, your laptop.
Yeah. What would you say to someone who thinks it's too late to start on YouTube?
You know, I was actually thinking about this today, and I would say, imagine, like, that's like, you could say that about anything. Like, imagine, like, someone who's like, would be a boxing protege, okay? And he said, oh, there's already a boxing world champion, or oh, there's loads of boxers, okay? And like, imagine Ronaldo wanted to be a footballer, and he's like, oh, you know, there's already like loads of footballers, I'm just going to leave it. I think that's the stupidest thing ever. It's like, even if you want to become a mechanic, like open up a mechanics. You're like, oh, there's already like 3 mechanics in my town. What? Like there's someone who will start a YouTube channel today and it will be like the biggest YouTube channel ever. Like at some stage, like it'll get millions of subscribers. Like there's definitely a channel that gets started every single day that will get millions of subscribers, you know? Like, so why not you? I just think it's such a weak mindset when you start asking or things are oversaturated. And so this is a banger of a quote from Max Tuning. We were on stage in Dublin doing a talk about social media, starting a business, whatever. And someone asked, should I start YouTube? Should I start this business? He goes, if you have to ask, don't do it. And you should have seen the kid's face. He was like, what? Max just told me don't do it. You're meant to say do it. You're meant to encourage me. You know, and you can just see it. And he's so right. I'm like, I never asked anyone. You know, I never asked, should I start a pancake company? No, if you really want to do it, you'll just do it. And they're the people that will succeed at it, you know?
Elon Musk said the same thing about someone asked him, should I start a business? And he just said, don't do it. If it has to call to you in a sense, it has to be something that you want to do because no one can convince you. No one can hold your hand along the process.
Exactly. And it's something that like, let's even go one step further. If everyone's telling you not to do it and you still do it because you want to do it so badly, that's the shit.
Yeah, exactly right. So you've once been said that your most positive attribute is your resiliency. If that's still true, I'd love to hear an example.
Yeah. So I remember when I was doing, it was like the first ever event I tried to put on. It was like a seminar and I just did it completely wrong. It was like I charged too much for the tickets. I just didn't plan it out well enough. And again, this is another example of a time where I got so scared to do something. And I put the tickets live online and everyone was like, who do you think you are charging this much to hear you speak? You know, oh, you think you're the best man in Dublin and all this. And I ended up taking it down and canceling the event.
Wow.
I know. And I ended up quitting. And then not even many years later, like 2 or 3 years later, I'm charging even more for a seminar and hundreds are buying it. And it's like, if I just stuck at that, you know, at the time, it would have worked. And I could have just, you know, I felt so bad. I could have just like never done an event again or anything. And then ended up, you know, doing many. So that was one that comes to my head. Again, first ever YouTube videos, they got like 1,000 views and I'm like sick. You know, I'm like unreal. It's like 1,000 people. So there's just everything really. And even like the gym is like, you know, you go for like a year straight and you still don't look like Phil Heath, you know? Yeah. And that's like, you feel like just giving up after that as well. But So just everything is like in my whole life has just came from keeping at it and repeating itself and just showing up and watering the plants every day.
What do you think compelled you to actually take down that speaking engagement?
Again, the judgment and fear of what people said. This was like way earlier on before I kind of am now. And again, that just goes, I regret doing it. You know, I wish I just said, hey, fuck you guys, you can go to it or not. If 5 people buy a ticket, I'm going to speak to these 5 people. You know, that's what I would say now. And that's what you got to be like. And so resilience is just, it will just stand to you in every aspect of life. And the people that show up every single day, they're the ones that are going to get the long-term results. It's like this. It's like when you start something, it doesn't go like, it's more like, and then just after year 3, it starts taking off. So that's something that everyone needs to practice a little bit more of, myself included.
It's so interesting that you bring up that compounding graph, because one of my favorite tweets from you is just about your subs. Year 1, 19,000 subscribers. Year 2, 100,000 subscribers. Year 3, 200,000 subscribers. Year 4, 400,000 subscribers. After 4 years on YouTube.
Yeah,
that's incredible. And that's exactly what you're talking about, right?
Yeah, exactly. And now we're coming up to 500,000. If anyone's listening to this, go subscribe now. So that's exactly it. And that's why you also kind of just need to enjoy what you're doing. Because you drive yourself insane at the beginning if you're not seeing immediate results and you're hating what you're doing, you know? So if you love what you're doing, you're just going to do it anyways. So time's going to pass either way. So that's why it's so important to do something that you're passionate about. I'm sure you've heard that 100 times before.
Do you think you'd still be doing YouTube videos if you still had 19,000 subscribers?
Oh, absolutely. Like 19,000 is loads. Like imagine 19,000 people in a room. Like that's a stadium. That's crazy. And that's why so many people are also put off social media these days as well. They see the numbers of Logan Paul or whoever it is, and they think that, oh, I don't have millions of listeners or, you know, subscribers or anything. Oh, there's no point in me even doing it. And that's such a bad comparison mentality to have. And I even know so many people, especially in the fitness industry, they got 10K followers or whatever it is, and they're making more money than people with 1 million followers because they're just good at running a business. Mm-hmm. Okay. So it's like people think nowadays you have to have a number on a screen on an app to be successful in your industry. And that's just not the case at all.
You bring up Logan Paul. I'm curious what you think of everything he's doing in the boxing realm and the entertainment world.
Love it. Absolutely love it. Love both the Paul brothers, even Jake Paul. You know, I swear to God, imagine, I just think I'm going to be like hating on them when they're making millions of dollars, flying around the world in private jet, having a laugh, like having so much fun and just doing what they set out to do. No, if you're hating on anyone online, like you're a peasant. You're a freaking peasant. Like seriously, imagine me taking the time out of my day to hate on anyone chasing after and achieving their dreams. Love it. Love to see it. And even I was actually in Mykonos about 2 years ago, ended up going on a night out with Jake Paul, just me and him, because everyone else bailed. So it was just me and him in the club. We got a table and it was just me and him. Everyone just got too drunk and then come out during the day. This is me and him. And we ended up just talking for hours and like drinking. We got absolutely wasted. We can't even remember the end of the night. And he was a super chill, normal guy. I was like, if anything, I'm a bit stranger.
What was he really like? What was Jake Paul really like?
Honestly, cool. He was fine. And he was like giving me all like the business behind everything, like how much like cash and revenue they're taking in. Really inspiring stuff. And like, yeah, he's just a normal dude. And he's still like, he finds it all surreal of where he's at. And this is like 2 years ago before. Oh no, he did do the boxing actually. But like, you know, before he'd even blown up anymore. But yeah, he was a chill dude, you know. I can't say anything bad about him. I'll still fight him though, you know. If anyone, you know, if Jake Paul, if you're listening to this, I'll box your fucking head off. But you know, give me that clown. But no, he's a good dude. He's a chill guy.
So that brings me to my next point, which was, could we see Rob Lipsett in the ring boxing at some point in your career?
Absolutely. I would love to do that. You know, with the fitness, I'm surprised more people in the fitness industry haven't gotten into it, because it's like with a lot of these guys doing it, they're like gamers. They're like coming from the gaming industry. No hate on gamers, like they're the biggest YouTubers in the world. But I'm saying they don't have as much physical training behind them as a lot of people in the fitness industry do. So I'm surprised there's not more people. But yeah, I think it would be funny, like win or lose, it doesn't matter. Like the amount of money it's in it, that you're just everyone's a winner, and like fair play to anyone who gets into the ring on front of a huge crowd. Like that's a ballsy thing to do. But yeah, I would love to do it. I think it'd be great. I hope someone calls me out, you know, like I'm over here. Yeah, that'd be
who would you call out?
Oh God. See, like I'm calling like something like Jake Paul and something. He'd be like, ew, he doesn't even have 500,000 subs. Ew, get away from me. So I'd have to have a think about that one. But yeah, so someone worthwhile.
Yeah. Well, I look forward to seeing you in the ring if you ever, you got a pay-per-view buy right here.
You can be my manager, bro. You can be my manager, promoter, everything. We'll rise to the top together.
I'm going to put that in the contract right there. We've got it on video, guys.
Do it. 60 G's, baby.
One thing that I admire about you is how you've traveled the world, but also built your businesses at the same time. How do you think about holding those two together?
So I think travel is like extremely important. And I think that's like one of the best things that I've done over the years. And it's like this one thing I'll never regret spending my money on at all, or spending my time on even. Like, you know, I'm sure I could be even like further ahead of, you know, where I am now if I just, you know, planted myself down and like stayed in one place and concentrated more. But like, that's not how I want to look back on my 20s being. So I think travel is like one of the best things for connections, broadening your mind, being open-minded, and again, just experiencing good life and having fun. So it is harder to balance. But like I said, about 10 minutes ago or whatever it is, now it's like it's becoming less and less important where you are in the world. Like I only downloaded Zoom like a year ago. Like literally, like as you saw at Sarah's podcast, I didn't even know how to work the microphone. Like, so it's all so new, and I think it's becoming less and less important as time goes on. But so anyone listening to this, especially now with borders opening up, if you have the opportunity to travel, especially when you're young and before you have like, you know, Rob Lipsett Jr. and stuff, you know, holding you down, I definitely think you should do it. And that's something that I'm really glad I did.
What are the top spots you'd recommend in Europe?
Okay, so I'm in Marbella now, and I'm absolutely loving it. Insane gyms, beaches. Like everyone speaks English here as well, which is handy too. Like there's a huge amount of English and Irish people. Ibiza is a must-do as well. And then I really want to do Italy. I've only done a little bit of Italy, but I want to do the Amalfi Coast properly. Croatia is sick. Hvar particularly. Paris, France is beautiful. That's where I asked Linda to go out with me. If you bring a girl to Paris, she's not going to say no. So that's a nice little hack there as well. And then, of course, London. That's where I lived during 2020. So it was an interesting year, to say the least. And, of course, every other year apart from that, born and raised in Dublin, Ireland. The best day you'll have, right? Okay, you wake up early, go for a swim in the 40-foot. It's like a swimming area. It's ice cold. It's -degrees. You do that. You go like into one of the cafes in the area. You go get yourself a full Irish breakfast. You go hit up Raw Gym, or, you know, there's so many sick gyms in Dublin. Raw's the one I go to. And then, you know, you go out, you go home, you chill for a while. There's, again, food scene is great in Dublin. And then go out, hit Harcourt Street or anywhere in town for Zoom to get absolutely blackout drunk. And that is a good Dublin day right there. So yeah, definitely go to Dublin.
Oh man, you got the full day as well. It's like you've done that once or twice before.
Oh man, every weekend. Oh, every weekend. That's literally my weekend routine. Even throw in, if you want the full Fighting Irish experience, go down to like SBG. You know, you might even see Conor in there. You know, just put on some mitts or whatever, some gloves, and throw some punches. That's for the true Irish experience. And then get a fight later on Harcourt Street as well, around 2 a.m. That's a true
Irish way.
Yeah. Oh man, I think growing up, I've been in over 100 street fights in my life, without a doubt. Like, I haven't got a fight since I was like 21, because after that you get put in jail. But growing up, there's so much fights on night out. It's brilliant. It's the funniest thing ever.
Why is fighting so synonymous with the Irish?
I think they say God invented whiskey to stop the Irish from taking over the world. we're just a wild bunch. Like, it's really embedded in us. Like, even when I meet Irish people over here, like, I went to a house party like 3 weeks ago, and it was just all Irish people, and it's so rowdy. Everyone's like, "Hey, come on, yeah, look, the Irish are out in Marbella, what?" You know, like, it's so funny, but it's just culture. It's just the upbringing. We're a crazy bunch of people.
Yeah, I'm thinking of my buddy who is Irish, and every time we get drunk, he just wants to fight people, and that's like his natural state.
Yeah,
and
born into it.
It's fascinating. Yeah.
It's like National Geographic walking down Harcourt Street at 2 a.m.
Okay, Rob, this has been an incredible conversation. I've learned so much about you. I think the people will as well. I'm curious, before we leave, if you could give some advice to someone pursuing the highest version of themselves, whether that's mentally, physically, spiritually, whatever it may be. What advice do you have for that one person?
Go through a selfish period of your life where you're just really careful with your time. You devote it all into yourself and becoming the best person yourself. So listen to some podcasts about AI, consciousness, UFOs, hit the gym, expand your mind, meet cool people, get in the best shape of your life. Make sure your health is as good as it can be, and then you'll be on the right track.
I love it. I'll retweet that in a second. Thank you, Rob, for joining me today. Where can people connect with you further? Where should we send them?
Yeah, so roblipsett.com is a nice little hub where I've got everything. FuelCakes.com if you want the best protein pancakes in the world, worldwide shipping too. And then on YouTube and Instagram, it's just at Rob Lipsett.
Awesome. All linked below. Thank you, Rob, for taking the time. I really appreciate you, my man.
Bro, thank you for starting off my week with just such good positivity, such good energy. I am just in the best mood ever now. So no, you're going to kill it with this podcast. You already are. And thanks so much for having me on.